All right, we're back another Sunday on the political spectrum. We're here on our Black Media Network, and I'm Dr. Robert G. Bryant, right here from Savannah, Georgia. We will soon, hopefully, have my co-host join me because today our task is to talk about voter education. We had a few small issues with making sure that everyone was in the studio on time, and so what I'll do, you all, I'll start today with our first video clip and then we'll do our first 10 when my co-host get here. All right. Oh, right on time. Hey, you're right on time, Clinton. I don't know what Dante is, but hey, I love that hat.
Right.
How's it going for you?
Rough, but I'm hanging in there. I went to the Board of Education meeting. That wasn't a farce.
Oh, that's nice. They just pat each other on the back or just say things that make no difference.
Oh, yeah. They were going to do whatever they wanted to do. They didn't really care about what the public had to say.
No, why does it matter that students need to learn?
Yeah, really. Let's just keep upping the taxes and blowing it on our salaries and nice new buildings.
Well, and we'll which that's part of our first. We can do that part of our first 10. It interests me that we have these. First of all, let's talk about why do we have all these municipal governments, right?
Yeah.
But you have like Athens, Clarke County. Why can't we do Savannah, Chatham? We have two different police forces, two different taxes, a school board that pats itself on the back for doing absolutely nothing, and so yeah.
And I tried to find a copy of the hearings on video, and they always record them, but they're hard as you know what to find.
Yeah, which is really interesting.
Well, you want to know what's being said. That's what it all boils down to.
Yeah, I tell you one thing, and so I guess our shout out to our legislators and local leaders across the nation. I think it has become too much about personality and less about policy, and so yeah.
Yeah, I find it a complete farce. Their little mission statement and mission statement that they have placed upon the wall behind them. They failed both, and it continued to fail both for decades. And we just throw more money at them.
Yeah, which gets us to our next topic on the first 10, which is elections, right? I know here in Chatham County and across the nation, there are runoffs that are happening. And for those who don't know what a runoff is, you'll have you'll have what's called a general election or a special election, what have you, whatever that is, a basic day where you go and you vote. And if a person doesn't get a certain amount of numbers, or in this case in Georgia, 50% plus one, then there's a runoff for the top two vote getters.
Sure.
So we have a campaign here with Chatham County where the 8th district has a choice to pick an individual who's a good pastor or someone who understands the work and who's an engineer.
Yep, that's going to be a hard choice for people to make.
It's not a hard choice if you understand where you are. So let's just use New Orleans, for example. Let's say I am living in New Orleans, a place where we know Hurricane Katrina did some damage, a place that has issues with stormwater drainage, a place that has, issues across the board. I don't think a pastor is going to necessarily get me out of that situation.
Well, people need to vote on ideas and stop voting on charisma. It's not that charisma is bad. I'm all for charisma. But if you don't have any creativity to create policy that's going to improve the conditions for yourself and your neighbors, then it doesn't matter how much charisma you have.
Right.
And it's sad, but every time people go to the voting booth, they vote for what's familiar.
Yeah. Unfortunately. And what's interesting, I think in a lot of rural areas and small cities, and really a lot of areas across the South, I'm willing to say, the electorate has to be, on average, 55 plus. That's going to be your electorate. And a lot of times that population tends to be more comfortable with what they know. So this person has been in this seat 10 years, 5 years, nothing bad has happened. They haven't done anything to make me angry or to make me question them. So they must be doing a good job. And that is not the case.
No, you take a look around and realize that sometimes sitting back and doing nothing allows issues to evolve into gigantic problems.
Mhm.
First, stagnation prevents people from being able to survive. If we don't move with the times but in a productive direction, the city transforms into a city that no one knows. And residents who are born and raised there are forced to move somewhere else they can afford.
Yeah, unfortunately. So far, our last topic on the first 10, I think this is a great topic. I'll let you, hey, if you, I'd love for you to take the first swing at this and see if you get a hole in one. Do you think Trump or Biden is going to win?
Well, from the way it's looking, and this is just, again, I think Trump's going to be victorious from the way it's looking. But
Mhm.
things can change like that.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't want to say for sure because every time we think things are going one way, we get a surprise.
Yeah.
Not to mention, even if Trump were to be victorious, a lot of people that vote for him need to realize, hey, who you going to vote for when his term is over? You need to think of the next 4 years. You can't put all your hopes on one person who's only going to have one term left. You got to think, well, who I want next? Who I want after that? But you want changes to occur, and it can't all happen in 4 years, and that's for the Trump supporters.
Right.
Now you believe he can resolve every problem, but let's say hypothetically he can do the things that you want him to do. He's only got 4 years to do it. 4.
Yeah.
That's it. You know?
And what was hard for people to digest is, I think what people see is what they believe, and that makes sense. But you know what you're going to see, you won't see Biden's policies really kick in until the next 4 years.
Yeah.
What we're now kind of coming out of are Trump's first term ish, like some of the things he's put implement.
What we're starting to experience if I have policy.
Right. And so
What Trump
I think to answer the question, if I, right now I would say it's 50-50. You know, I was saying the same thing right now. I think it's 50-50. I think if people really think about safety and they think about the opportunity for war and a war, Biden he should tick up in the numbers. And why? Of all 5 candidates, Biden is the most qualified foreign policy wise and with foreign relations and war. You cannot put someone else in that seat if we shift into a conflict internationally.
Yeah, but we need to look at what's been happening lately. I think we need to cut off all money from Palestine, Israel, Ukraine, and Russia. I think we need to stay out of both of those situations. Mostly because Americans need that money first. Unless we think we're going to use a nuclear weapon, we need to leave it alone. No matter who you side with, we can't afford to stick our nose in the foreign conflicts right now. We're not in a good position. And we're just not.
I don't think we have a choice. You know, I think honestly, our federal government, to our own safety, and I think they do a good job of making sure we don't know things until we need to know them. I don't think Russia is just bringing their nuclear submarines and ships to Cuba just to be nice and cute and do exercises. That's the biggest force. That's malarkey, as Biden would say.
Yeah,
It's a real threat.
yeah, it's a real threat, but we've also, how can I say, they asked us not to get involved with Ukraine because they're afraid of any types of bases from NATO being built toward their border.
Yeah.
And we've been advocating for Ukraine to join NATO, which Russia said, please don't do that. You do that, that's it. And we encourage it. You know, it's like all we had to do was just not encourage Ukraine to join NATO, and we wouldn't have had this stuff started. You know,
Well, but you know, on the other side of that, you have you allow Russia into Ukraine, and then you have the threat of them not wanting to go to Poland and expand, and so it's
saying if they wanted to join the Ukraine, if we hadn't to push, Ukraine to threaten to join NATO, and the moment we pushed that, Russia went, "We told you not to do that. We told you we attacked," and they did. Now, Ukraine, because of us and other countries, has superior, weaponry. They might have a superior military, but unfortunately, Russia has the numbers, and they just keep coming and coming and coming. So that's the reason they're such a threat for numbers.
Well, there's an old saying: it's about quality, not quantity. And I think the United States has the quality. It could be argued both ways.
Well, Rome thought that too before it fell.
I love that.
They had superior technology, but because they bit off more than they can chew, they eventually fell.
Yeah, hey, good point. We're going to hop right into our topic in a moment. We'll go to a commercial break, and then we'll be back with our topic for the weekend, which is for Sunday, which is board education.
Chatham County, we have some growing pains that affect our health and our wealth. That's why the race for the Chatham County Commission seat is not a popularity contest. It's a job interview, one that requires a proven track record. My name is Laureen Monica Bowles. I have served 33 years as a stormwater engineer and city planner. I've raised millions of dollars to create jobs and build affordable housing. Vote for the candidate with education and experience. Vote Laureen Monica Bowles, Chatham County Commissioner, District 8.
Paid for by the committee to elect Laureen Monica Bowles.
Come out to Port Wentworth on June 21st and celebrate Juneteenth with us. Bring the kids, your family, and your friends and enjoy a day of entertainment, history, culture, and fun. Don't forget, the Port Wentworth Juneteenth Festival is June 21st in Port Wentworth.
It's election season, and in order to vote, you have to be registered. Here's what you need to know before you head to the polls. First, do you meet the criteria to vote in Georgia? There's a couple of different boxes you have to check. Here's some of them. You must be at least 17 and a half years old to register and a citizen of the U.S. and a legal resident of Georgia. Now, if you check all of these boxes, you can register in a couple of different ways. First up, online. Head to the Secretary of State's website, click this menu, then scroll down and click Register to Vote Online. Make sure you have a valid Georgia driver's license or state ID card and follow the prompts. If you want to register by mail, you can download the application by clicking here and mailing it to the Secretary of State's office. You can also register in person at your county's registrar's office or election office. There are also two bonus ways to register to vote. When you sign up for a library card, you can also register to vote. Getting your license in Georgia? You can also register by filling out these forms there too. It's as easy as checking a box. Just make sure to look out for it. Keep in mind, if you move within the state, you have to tell your county's registrar's office or submit a new voter registration application. And just because you register once doesn't mean you stay on the rolls. To see if you are already registered, check the My Voter page. You can find that by clicking here and filling out the information. For all of the links that we just talked about, pull out your phone and head to 11alive.com/vote.
All right. What's your initial thoughts?
I want to inform people if you apply for EBT, Social Security, Supplemental Security Income, any form of disability, on Gateway, the government form, you can register to vote while you're filling out this documentation online. So just a shout out to everybody. If you're not registered or you're not sure or you want to try again, you can register to vote when you apply for these government and state programs.
Good stuff. Good stuff. They mentioned the driver's license and you can fill out these forms. I'm like, at what point are we going to just go ahead and register people to vote when they receive a driver's license or apply for Georgia ID? It's just common sense to me. But
well, you should be able to, except a lot of people for some reason click, not to submit. I don't know why. But
Well, and I tell people often, I hear this, the reason why some people make it so hard to vote is because they don't want certain votes. And, they want certain people to be in office, and that's to the detriment of of yourself and your values.
Well, I had to go to court in order to be allowed to vote when I turned 18. So,
You have to do it now?
yep, I had to go to court.
Wow, what was that about? If you don't,
Let's see. Has some dynamic difference? Class-
wow, are you serious?
Yeah.
That's damn discriminatory.
Well, fortunately, I won, and that's why voting means a lot to me.
That's a lot to unpack. And that's sad because I'm an ally to the trans community, and I wonder if transgender population has certain similar issues. I know they don't have the same issue, but similar issues, and that's just.
Well, I know some handicapped people but they pretty much resolved that. Not completely. I'm sure there are plenty of Americans that have fallen through, the cracks in the system, and it's a job to help lift them up so they can register to vote.
Yeah, and I think, and people must know this, you can register to vote at any time. You don't have to wait to an election. And I encourage people, utilize your right to vote. If you don't vote, you don't have a voice or an opinion in things. The other part of that is, don't just wait till election time. And, this is what I was thinking about. Check your status. We do know that some Republican-led, I'm glad Dante's in here. Some Republican-led states like Georgia, even though I am a fan of Brian Kemp at times, he does some shady things. And one of the things he did was purge the voter rolls. So you want to make sure that your voting registration is still active, because if there's certain rules where they would remove you from the voting rolls. And so you want to make sure that you are still active.
Ratcliffe, I can't say. Can you pronounce his name for me?
Rafflesberger.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He's done some shady stuff too when it comes to voting. So always be vigilant. You never know what one person or many people in power will pull if you're not paying attention. So you have to be vigilant. And I don't care who you vote for. I mean, I wish you would vote for mass elections, but it's your choice. And if you lose, that's part of a Democrat Republic. At least you have a right to complain. I really don't like to hear people complain that take no activity in a voting booth.
Right. And I'm glad you said that, because what this show is about today is really about voter research. And I know you have some things you want to bring to the table for people to think about. One of those I was thinking about today was, as you said, that we all often think about voting for people. There's sometimes referendums on the ballot. And I know this last vote we did, there were about 5 or 6 that were really, really good referendums. One being, should we, allocate funding for certain programs or certain services and things like that. And so you get to vote on your tax dollars. You get to vote on whether we build a park or a prison. You get to vote on a number of things. And so it's very real sometimes that you take it seriously, because we'll get mad because, they're building a pond or a shelter next to my house. Well, you didn't go vote because it was a referendum.
Right. And if you think they're misusing the tax money on that government project, then vote no, so your money doesn't go towards that. It's your choice.
That's it. So I know you had something on your list. What's on your docket?
Probably the thing I always complain about, Chatham County Board of Education. They had public hearings, as you know, last week. I spoke at one of them. I think Mark Urania, one of the Senate people running for Senate, spoke at them. Several citizens spoke, and I think only maybe 4 or 5 board members were present. That's it. The rest of them were on vacation, not sick, vacation. Now, mind you, this is a job that you have to campaign for and elected the whole, which means you wanted it. You spent your time running for it, and you begged the people to elect you, and then you take a vacation. It's not like an ordinary job.
Right.
You had to run for it, and it was can't believe is why this many members are absent during a public hearing to elevate the millage rate that will increase people's taxes.
Oh,
And they couldn't even be present to put on a facade that they hear about the people. And then it was pointed out that they've hired many different administrators when they've been complaining about no money. And they hired more people for maintenance when maintenance budget haven't been allocated correctly and it's been misused.
Yeah.
Not to mention, we haven't even gone over the salaries
oh,
of administrators.
let me tell you.
If
I,
you're,
oh yeah.
if you're so concerned about the budget, here's an idea. Either lower your salary or cut back on your conferences and such that are out of town. There's an idea. Why don't you streamline some of the administrative duties like operations and transportation? I don't think we need some of the equipment that you're buying. You don't even have, like the city, you don't even have the qualified mechanics to work on the electric buses. Yet you bought all these electric buses. They're going to require more expensive parts, a different type of qualified mechanic, more money, more money. Not to mention the batteries are corrosive and are a biohazard for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And we have no way of disposing of them. I mean, you think combustible engines are bad. Take a look at these batteries on these electric vehicles.
Well, well, we live in a government that gives us red dye 520 in our cereal and
Yeah.
cow milk. And now why not we just put a nuclear plant and give everybody cancer? And by the way, we got a battery to put it right up your ass and then you can get more cancer.
Yeah. Oh, and, don't worry about your power bill going up.
Oh, no.
We have all these new electric vehicles that are going to make it go up even more. Yeah.
Right. And we're going to charge you for the building of it. How about that? Oh,
Yeah.
but make it even worse. I don't know if you saw the Watchdogs a few weeks ago. Those same electrical vehicles that they bought and they put in operation had no insurance.
It gets even better and better.
So hey, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. I
Hey.
can't think of a well-run municipality in the state. Maybe DeKalb County. Maybe Michael Thurman has it going on in DeKalb County. But
I don't know. I know what I would have done if I had the ability and if I could get the votes if I was on city council. I would create a voucher system and I would advocate a state that implements school choice. And the public school system would have to compete with private school, online school, and schooling at home. And once they were forced to compete, if they fail, we got the perfect reason to abolish them and turn those brand new buildings into homeless shelters.
yep.
Then
Hey.
win.
Yeah, that's what Cornell West actually advocates for that.
I know I saw it.
Yeah, that's one of many policies that I think, and that's what I tell people. They get mad when I promote Cornell West, but he has some real life solutions that are not just jive turkey foolishness because I'm not Democrat or Republican or whatever. He has some real life solutions. I could think of a building in Midtown. I can't remember. It was an old Sears building right before you get to Forsyth. It'll be perfect. But
Yeah.
the problem is we don't want homeless people in our neighborhoods. And you try to put that next to downtown? Oh,
Yeah, but we're creating, how I put it, our own problem. We complain about the homeless, and then we jack up taxes or businesses won't hire anyone.
right.
Or worse, if they hire anyone, it's someone that's out of town, or worse, someone that really doesn't need the job and they can't understand why the person won't apply for the job. Well, you want someone who's already perfect, doesn't need to be trained. Good luck with that.
Right. Yeah, that's real helpful. That's going to get you a long way. So I don't know. So let me play before we get to the next piece on your list. Let me play this next clip here. Is there any good reason? No, basically, why should we vote? So hold on one second. I'm messing up my own self. So y'all,
Oh wait.
Fair enough, maybe you're less than 18 years old, in which case your time will come.
Or maybe you're in prison.
Or maybe you're the Queen. If you're the Queen, it's your parliament and you're not allowed to vote.
That still leaves a whopping 13 million people who are eligible to vote, but have said they're not going to.
The press call it voter apathy, but that term implies that non-voters are lazy people who would rather stay in bed than walk 5 minutes to the polling station.
The truth is even sadder. A lot of people are informed, passionate, and clued up, but have chosen for their own reasons not to join in. What legitimate, decent, well-thought-out reasons could they possibly have?
All right. And so while that was in the UK, it's pretty much the same here in the United States. People have voter apathy. They're just lazy. They don't think it's important. Why should we vote, Clinton?
Well, it's the small things that you don't think about. The bills that arrive in the mail. It's the freedoms that you take for granted. Look how we all reacted to COVID.
Mhm.
Now, during such disasters, it's not just the feds' job, but it's all the state's job not to panic. Now, in the old days, they didn't give people information until they had it validated. And even then, they gave people hope. When the pandemic hit, they just released information unabridged and hit the panic button and took away all hope. So we reacted in fear. I reacted in fear. My neighbors reacted in fear. We wouldn't go out. We wore a mask. We were getting to the point to where we would wash our hands and open up our own doorknob. And now we realize that we overshot and we destroyed our own economy. People pretty much put a lot of businesses under with all the regulations to wear a mask. Even now that we've come out of the days, you still see people outside jogging with a mask on and there's no one around them. Now we're finding out that the rules that Fauci released were completely arbitrary. He was just making it up. He just made up. He just made up the distance of 6 feet off the top of his head. He made up the N95 mask being a deterrent.
You look at it because I haven't watched this stuff.
I've been watching it. He admitted. He admitted it was arbitrary. And I'm like, what? you didn't do any data studies? You're just arbitrary. And he goes off the excuse, well, I'm a doctor. Well, if you look at his history, he's an administrative doctor. He never had to practice beyond 12 months. After his 12 months internship, he just went into administration. He never worked in the field more than 12 months. That's not a doctor, in my opinion. It's a doctor.
No, and not only that, why the hell do we have disease in control?
Money. So we can determine who gets health care and who doesn't.
That's some gosh. So wow. And wow.
And the second part to all of this is it was the job of the Center of Disease Control to call him out and wait a minute, the data doesn't match what you're saying. And
but that's why they're the damn research arm.
And they're just now releasing bits and pieces of data they wouldn't release. Excuse me, no government body should hinder the CDC from releasing info or telling them what they have to edit out or hold back. So starting to realize all these programs like the FDA, the CDC, they're not pure like they're supposed to be.
So let's wrap it. Let me bring it back around. I have another great example. This is why voting is important, because whatever president appointed him was an idiot.
Well, you're supposed to have, how can I say it, people underneath the person placed in charge.
Well, most people are going to get people around them that's going to support the issue. I mean,
yeah.
So whoever appointed him was an idiot. But here's a bigger one. So let's say we all decide, Trump's going to win anyway. I'm not going to go vote, and he does win. There's this funny thing called the Supreme Court. And when there are at least 2 justices that are prime ready to retire, possibly even 3. Should Trump win and get 2 more selections, you do know every single right, as you all know, not only just abortion, this would be the most conservative place on the earth because he will probably support appoint, if not 2, 3 more justices, which, by the way, would pretty much just destroy everything. Because that would be how many? That would be a total of 6 out of 9 he would have appointed.
According to the Constitution, they serve for life. They only retire if it's voluntary.
Right.
They voluntarily retire, but it can't be forced into retirement. I mean, we have judges up there that I think might have Alzheimer's and they stuck it out. And I wish they had retired, but it has to be voluntary, and it's a life term.
Right. Right. But Alito and Clarence will likely, if Trump wins, they will likely step aside. Let me tell you something Republicans do well, and they do it here at the Public Service Commission very well. They'll go ahead and get out of the way so that their successor is the guaranteed Republican. Same thing here with the Public Service Commission in Georgia. You know, Tim Nichols is probably about to do it right here. And so what they'll do, Public Service Commission commissioner is elected for 6 years.
Yeah.
My 5th year, I'll retire so Governor Kemp can appoint a Republican. And then that, when the election comes up, that individual can be the incumbent. That's what they do well. I will give them that. You can't be mad at the hey.
That's a good strategy. I have to admit.
A brilliant strategy.
Yeah. But Republicans have lost a lot too. So sometimes their strategies don't pan out.
Yeah. But that one is, hey, you can't beat it. We're going to hop to a commercial break and we'll be right back. Clinton, get your next one lined up and we'll talk about that when we come back.
Chatham County. My name is Lorraine Monica Bowles, and I am running to be your commissioner in Chatham County District 8. From Savannah's west side to Garden City, Port Wentworth, and the Highlands, the 8th District is primed for growth. I have the qualifications and experience to tackle the tough issues. When you elect me as your representative on the Board of Commissioners, I promise you I will serve as a consensus builder, not a dictator, and certainly not a puppet. You deserve accountable, transparent, and accessible leadership. On June 18th, vote for me, Lorraine Monica Bowles. Together, we will get things done, not let things be.
Come out to Port Wentworth on June 21st and celebrate Juneteenth with us. Bring the kids, your family, and your friends and enjoy a day of entertainment, history, culture, and fun. Don't forget, the Port Wentworth Juneteenth Festival is June 21st in Port Wentworth.
That's right. We're right up on Juneteenth, and right behind that is July 4th and Halloween and Christmas. So my goodness, time is flying.
Yeah, the year goes by very fast.
Very fast. And so, what do you have next on your list?
I think people need to really pay attention to their local elections.
Yeah.
No matter what party you're a member of, that's if you're a member of a party. Local elections is where everything is decided. The federal government is not supposed to have the power that it has. The people need to take control in their local areas, especially the state, the county, and the city. Keep thinking that everything has to be important only if it's with the federal government. No, we're supposed to have the autonomy in each state, each county, and each city to run the way we think is best for the people around us. So these local elections are more important than the federal ones. But in a lot of local elections, those people can be in power forever. And you only want them in power if they're going to benefit you, the citizen.
That's so true. I'm glad you said that. A lot of people say, well, I'm only going to vote for the president. And when Barack Obama ran, everybody just thought, well, he didn't do anything for the black community. He didn't do this. That's not what he was supposed to do. So you're so right. So municipalities, your city councils, your county commissioners, that's where the authority really is. Now I'll use Atlanta, Georgia for an example. I remember when I lived in Atlanta at one point, crime had gotten so bad to where they made a local policy where they were not going to prosecute you if they pulled you over marijuana because we needed to focus resources towards, violent crime. That's why you put people in office that can make logical decisions, right? Yeah. So, I make the same complaint here in Savannah. Why the hell are we pulling people over for marijuana when we got folks shooting up the squares, right? So just a great example of why local elections are important. Then you get, like you said, to your state elections, which kind of craft the guardrails that a municipality can work in. So, for example, I know there are laws on the book that governs, speed limits and things like that. A municipality can't necessarily change those alone, but there are restrictions or guardrails that kind of guide that, and so forth and so on. But I agree with you. Get out there and vote for your local elections.
Also, if you want police to be more about protecting and serving, you need to stop the smart city from becoming a reality.
Yeah.
The more cameras are pointed out, the less police officers they're going to hire, but they're not going to have the money to hire them unless they raise their taxes. They're wasting. They're wasting an untold amount of money on this technology, and all it's meant to do is basically fine you, either directly through the mail or just take it straight out of your credit card, and your information is up for grabs. Information is supposed to be protected by the HIPAA Act and by your rights as an American. I know you may not think, well, what's the big deal? We're online all the time. We live in an age of voyeurism. It's one thing to voluntarily have people look upon you because you choose to display yourself. It's another thing to have your information taken from you, not even by a person that you met directly, by some third or fourth party that just retrieved it from them. You think things are bad when your information being held by the bank or the credit unions? Just think of how bad it's going to get when your temperature's being read, your medical history being read, everything from a camera shooting inside the window of your car as you go by, or shooting into your face as you walk by River Street, or any other.
How about this? And this is one of the reasons I don't have Alexa in my house. You don't know who Alexa is going to and talking to and sharing with.
Yeah, so look, once you give something away, you have to have a war or shed blood to get it back. And if we give up all our privacy, we'll have to shed blood to give it back. That's a freedom you don't want to lose.
Yeah, and watch this. Going back to the Supreme Court pick, the more the conservative the courts get, the more they're going to be like, yeah, we want your information, because the person, let me tell you something I learned a couple of days ago. The person with the power makes the rules.
Yes.
So Trump and the Supreme Court have your information, want your information, they will make the rules. And guess what? You can be in your home, like let's say you have a basic home surveillance system where you got a camera in the house and a doorbell camera. Who's to say they just won't watch you ever move?
And I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't want someone knowing my medical history. What if they decide they want off me? They know what I'm allergic to, they know what I'm not allergic to, and they can make it look like an accident. What happens when your local government decides, hey, we have too many people in this city, we need population control. I know, we know what all these people are allergic to, we'll just put it in such and such, and it'll look natural. And we can lower the population rate. Who's going to stop them?
Well, and watch this. Trump has already said he's coming for revenge and he wants to be a dictator. So who's to say we're just setting ourselves up for disaster. I'll just use that. Who's to say that he doesn't become, like, I'll use Russia, for example. If you piss Putin off, he's going to kill you. There's no secret. It's happened many times. So we don't do that.
Here's something the executive branch has so much to stop it. I mean, right now, no offense, but the President Biden is not running the show. But hey, if we were so dependent on the executive branch, we would be downhill because he's out to lunch. Other people are running the show. Congress. If we get a power-hungry person for president, female or male, we got Congress, we got Supreme Court, and we have all the local municipalities, we got state governments. It's too difficult for them to take over. And to get martial law invoked, there are so many steps they have to get past. We have barriers to stop that. Not to mention, Trump's not that young, you know, so he's got nature going against him, the Constitution going against him, all the states going against him, you know, Supreme Court. I mean, there are a lot conservative on the Supreme Court, but no.
Well, but here's the scary part. There are a lot of Marjorie Greene Taylors in the world.
You have to
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna play this next clip here, and then we'll do a commercial break after that, and then so let's look at how do you research candidates? How do you research a candidate that you're before you go out to vote? So here we go. Let's learn how do we research candidates.
Voting is one of the most fundamental and fought-over rights of American citizens. It's important to participate in each election, both local and national, to make your voice heard. You want to be able to vote with confidence, but with so many elections to keep in mind, how do you find out which candidate is right for you? Here are a few do's and don'ts when making your big decision. While national elections are important, it's the local elections that will likely have the most immediate impact on your day-to-day life, and there are usually several happening during a given election. So be sure to look up all of the races and ballot issues that will be up for vote. Generally, a state Secretary of State office is in charge of administering elections and is a good place to start your research. Online, you can find nonpartisan, nonprofit resources that will generate an example ballot based on your zip code and can even give you information about a candidate's background and stance on the issues. It's important to use multiple sources when doing research, as some websites may contain information lacking in other sites. The same goes for following news about the election. Every news outlet may have a different spin on a story, and using multiple sources will help you make the best decision for yourself. During an election season, voters are bombarded with political ads on TV, online, in the mail, and even just walking down the street. While these may be the loudest voices during election season, it is unwise to use ads alone to make your decision. These ads are produced by a candidate or their supporters to either show themselves in the best possible way or their opponent in the worst possible way. They are purposely made to get a big reaction out of you in order to sway your vote. This means using language and images that may be misleading or exaggerated and will not give you the full picture of how a candidate will perform in office. It's important to not take these ads at face value. If you want to learn about a specific candidate, it can be good to check out their websites or social media channels. These platforms may go into more detail about a candidate's beliefs and specific plans if they reach office. But be sure to take what you read with a grain of salt. Remember, these are words and images selected by the candidate and their supporters to get the biggest reaction possible from you. It's up to you to assess how accurate these messages are. Your vote is one of the most important tools you possess to help shape the society you live in. Doing research on your ballot will help you vote with confidence.
I think she said a very important thing. Voting helps you to shape the society that you live in, and it's so important.
And there's something that she didn't really touch on, but she kind of did.
Yeah.
Critical thinking. Who,
Yes.
what, when, where, how, why.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself that. And look at what the candidate is proposing and ask yourself, how will this affect me? How will it affect my family, my neighbors, my friends? Will it deliver a positive outcome? Do I think it will deliver a positive outcome? Make your choice based upon what they want to do, not likability, not how they're portraying the opponents, their policies themselves. If you think the policy is going to make things worse or just not have any effect at all, and vote for another candidate who has different policies. Number one. Number two, the candidate you select, they're not going to have everything you want. Pick the one that has the majority of the policies you want. 60%. Okay, a lot of people look, well, this one didn't have this, and then this. Yeah, but you agree with 80%. Yeah, but they had two things I didn't like. Really?
Yeah.
You have to kind of, I hate to say this, pick the lesser of the evils. Pick the one that has the majority of the policies that you want implemented. And that should be the one you go for. And we need to push in K through 12 critical thinking skills. Yeah. That is not being delivered in public school. That's another complaint we have about board education. You?
No, I totally agree. I think what what angers me a lot with people is exactly what you said. The lack of critical thinking skills that adults have in today's world just makes me cringe. Use your context clues, people. And I'll use an example of that. We live here in the city of Savannah, and we just realized our property taxes were increased and rent increased. And they said, we're going to work on stormwater drainage, which means it won't flood as much or as bad. We have not seen a plan yet that talks about anything with stormwater drainage. So why in the world would you follow an endorsement or vote for a candidate again, or even why isn't there uproar? So it baffles me how people will go. I think I'll use the wall, for example. We're going to build a wall and Mexico is going to pay for it. We don't see a wall and Mexico haven't paid for anything, but yet we're going to support them again. I'm lost.
Well, look, we have a surplus pointed out to us last year. What happened to the surplus? Where's that money at? And then we turn around and we gave millions of dollars to the owners of the property that we built the Embark Arena on, so they can improve their own property to generate more money from the city. Shouldn't you just take the money we're already paying you and use it to improve your own establishment to get more money in the future? Why we got to pay you more money so you can charge us more in the future?
And this is why. And I go back to this. This is why I give Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, credit. Now, I'm not saying he's the best piece of sliced bread, but if you go give him a report card, he would probably get a B-, B+. I got to give him his credit. Whereas certain politicians, if you get anything below a C, I don't know what to say.
I have another complaint. Stop focusing on bringing royalty and political powerhouses to Savannah and wasting the taxpayer dollars on fawning over them. And you should be focusing on improving the conditions of your constituents.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I also don't like encouraging single parenthood. My mother was a single parent, but I wouldn't encourage people for that. It makes life harder and more difficult. So I'm against single parent awareness. We're already aware they're there. I mean, I was raised by a single parent. We don't need disability awareness center. We see disabled people and handicapped people everywhere. We don't need to be aware of it. We need to stop wasting money on frivolous celebrations of reality. Okay. What we should do is work on our health so our children are not born handicapped or not in an accident and become disabled. We should work on finding love and solidifying it so we don't have single parent households anymore. Yes, I know a single parent can do it, but it's more difficult. Why wouldn't you want your fellow neighbors to have a more difficult life and hand out t-shirts celebrating the fact that they have a more difficult life?
Yeah.
There's a difference between compassion and encouragement. I'm all for empathy. I'm all for compassion, but I don't want to encourage people to make their life.
I think in that vein, kind of in that same spirit, I want to give this district attorney her kudos, Shalina Cook Jones. She did an interview a couple weeks ago. Maybe I think it was Tuesday, and and the reason why I give her kudos is because she understands that the criminal justice system needs reform, much like you're talking about. Instead of us demonizing felons, instead of us just throwing people in jail and throwing money at the problem of rehabilitation, she talks about rehabilitation. She talks about expungement and helping people who have paid their debt try to get a sustainable life. And so we need people in office. This is one of the things I look at when I go to vote. Who is innovative and who has a vision? I'll use an example of that. Let me shift gears real quick.
Okay.
We live in South Georgia, y'all. We have just a growth boom with the ports, the movie industry. They're about to build a bigger bridge. Hyundai plant. Why don't we have at least a conversation for multi-county rail, like Marta? When are we going to get it? It takes. I remember when we were growing up. It took 5 minutes to get from, let's just say the Talmadge Bridge to Pooler. You get on that road now about 5 o'clock, it's going to take you at least an hour. Like, when are we going to get visionaries in office. We don't need another minister. We don't need another teacher. And I'm not hating on them, but we need people who are thought leaders and policymakers.
Well,
And-
one of the problems is we're voting people in basic, if not charisma, and academic prowess. Oh, I graduated with this degree.
Right.
I have this degree. Yeah, what's your ideas? Well, you don't have any. Okay, I don't care if you have a doctorate, a PhD, and you were the principal of a wonderful university. If
Right.
you have no ideas, you have no ideas. I'm sorry. I remember Pat Roster. I mean, he sounded like he was reading off his resume. Then when it came down to ideas, here's what he said. Oh, I agree with what this administration. Do you have any ideas of your own? No? Okay. Sit down. Sit down. Don't run.
I'll never forget hearing this line from a number of people. I just want to help the mayor. Well, the mayor's an idiot. So there you go. So that makes you an idiot too.
I'm sorry, but I don't even think the mayor is running the show. He's just the figurehead. We both know that. Okay?
Oh, yeah. And this is around this, even in Atlanta, I'm disappointed in Andre Dickens. Like, come on, folks. So I think let's bring it back full circle is researcher candidates and talking about mayoral races. Anytime you have a medium-sized municipality, not the size of Chicago or New York, and the candidate has raised $500,000, that's a red flag.
Yeah. How do you get so much money for such a low office? Also, I want to make something clear. You do not have to have a college degree to run for these offices.
Right.
I get real irritated when, well, I have a master's degree, I have a doctorate, yeah, so what?
Right, but you're still dumb.
Any American who has a good idea and who's registered to vote and fits the criteria, you can run. You don't need a MoTech degree or a college degree.
Right.
What you need is a vision, and you need the right team to help you implement it.
That's right.
That's what you need.
And that's for pretty much most of the positions. For example, you don't have to be licensed. I don't think you have to be a licensed embalmer or anything. You don't have to run a funeral home to be the coroner. You don't have to have a law degree to be some of these judgeships. No. You really don't have to do law. I could run for sheriff if I wanted to.
True. I can't, and I can't change the criminal. I'm just too slow, man.
That ain't my life.
I passed out after one block.
When it comes to criminal justice and all that, I'm too liberal. So my policy, I don't believe in incarcerating an individual unless it's a violent crime. I just don't believe in it.
I think we need to stop prisons from being privatized and made for
profit. Oh yeah, that's nothing but a cash cow. That's just foolishness.
I think we need to eliminate a lot of these late fees on people when they get out of prison or jail, because it just racked up so much debt they have no choice but to go back to a life of crime.
Right.
If you ever want them to redeem themselves, it's bad enough they're late on some payment. Don't tack on interest. Don't tack on late fees. All you're doing is creating a bigger criminal. That's all you're doing.
And so they go back, and then guess who pays the bill, y'all? We do. Yay! So now we have, because we didn't vote, we have a higher tax bill, higher property tax. We got to pay for these criminals over here because all they did was really smoke a cigarette and walk backwards. And guess what? I got to feed my family. So by the time I get through doing all this stuff, because I didn't elect the right person, now I have $0 to put in a savings account. That's why I supported to vote.
It's very costly to feed and clothe that many humans trapped in a cement cell. I'm sorry, but it's costly. It would be beneficial to us to give them a pathway to get back on their feet if they're nonviolent.
Well, it's called corrections, not destroy, but we haven't gotten it yet. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Thank you, Clint. We had a great show, very informative. I think this is one that we should do again, but join us next time on the Political Spectrum. Have a good one now.
Have a good one.
I like that.